I think it's a really serious thing to be on the TSC because you have that capability to guide the open source nature of Hedera.
So I managed to get both of the newest technical steering committee members from Hiero on. We have Milan and Michael Cantor, also happen to be some of my favorite people in the space. Guys, thanks for having on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right, so to start this off, Milan, well, first of all, congratulations, guys. And Milan, can you just describe what Hiero is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hedera decided a while ago, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a few years ago, that they would open source all the source code of the hashgraph algorithm of the whole Hedera network, basically. And so this has been a process, obviously. The actual fact of open sourcing, it can be, can look pretty straightforward from the outside. But the very important part is that the actual source code within GitHub was still hosted by Hashgraph or Hedera. Now, what happens if a company decides like, okay, we are open source, but tomorrow we aren't, and they close everything, and then all the people that have contributed code and thought like, hey, this is open source, they they lost their work, and so for that there's the Linux Foundation. It's the biggest open source foundation in the world. So basically what's done last year is that Hedera donated all the source code to the Linux Foundation, and it's donated under the Hiero project. So it's a new project created to host all of the Hedera source code. And so now, what does it mean? It means that people know, hey, this is ensured to live for a long time because it's hosted under the Linux Foundation, and we're good. We're good to go. Linux Foundation has the best reputation, I could say. It's really amazing to be part of that organization as a project. Once that's done, and this is a constant process, right? You see repos on GitHub being moved to the Hiero repository. Then there's also the question about governance. Like how does that work? Because previously you would say like, oh, it's the engineers and all the other kind of things, that kind of decide what happens. But here it's really important that the governance is also long-term and has very strong reliability. And that's where the Technical Steering Committee comes in. So it's the TSC Technical Steering Committee of Hiero. And basically, this is a committee with 9 seats, so 9 people will hold those seats, and they decide on the technical roadmap. So important decisions are voted on every week. It's an open meeting that everybody can join and everybody can be part of the discussion. And yeah, Michael and I can now be part of those decisions, and we can vote against or for those different decisions. For example, we've got the HIPs, the Hedera improvement proposals. They are still called HIPs, but now if we break it up, it's a Hiero improvement proposal. Those are all kinds of things that are voted on, and yeah, it's very exciting to be part of that.
So this technical steering committee initially started with a core team, but now they're starting to expand that out. And there was actually a voting process that went along with that. And that's what you guys actually want. So, Michael, what's the seat that you want and why did you want it?
Yeah, so the seat that I got elected for was the contributor seat. The contributor seat's really unique because there is a voting process around it. The one that Milan won was the end user seat, which actually requires having a company that's building using projects in Hiero, and your company has to be represented in this adopters file on GitHub. So the list of valid entries there is a little bit shorter, and that it makes it quite hard to get. So big congratulations to Milan for winning that seat. With the contributor seat, you have to be a developer that's contributing to any project in the Hiero ecosystem. If you've made a single PR commit, then you're able to vote on that seat as well, and you're able to get nominated or nominate yourself for that seat. For this seat, I did not nominate myself. I was nominated by Ty from Swirlds Labs. He thought it would be a great idea. And from my perspective, it wasn't actually on my roadmap at all. But once I kind of learned learned more about how these elections work and got myself up to speed, I found it as a great opportunity for the community, right? I think for Hiero to be a smashing success, you need involvement outside of just Hashgraph, right? And Hedera. You need involvement from these community projects and startups, and even businesses and enterprises that are contributing back and utilizing Hedera. I hope that eventually too we do get somebody from the enterprise side as well. But you need a broad mix of people. And from my perspective, with the contributor seat, I'd like to be a steward for the community as much as possible, especially with the work that we're doing at Hashgraph Online, where we have 10 companies at Hashgraph Online that contribute back. So I like to channel their ideas into what I would have flexibility to do in the contributor seat, but also the wider community on Hedera. So that's just my hope, to provide a balance into how Hedera's code base and Hiero's code base is governed.
So, Mon, can you just expand a little bit on what that end user seat is and what drove you to run?
Yeah. So, Michael very nicely already laid it out a bit. And so also what I want to say, it's funny that Michael mentioned how he was nominated. I think he was the only user who actually was nominated by someone else, and that it was not in his roadmap. It's actually similar to me. I was also someone who wanted to nominate me, but like I'm not sure how to do it. And then I was like, okay, let me do it myself, because then I also started to kind of get used to the ideas. Like, yeah, I can see totally this work, because originally I was like, I'm not sure if this is something for me, but it took some time, and I got really really excited about this opportunity. And for me, the end user seat, I really feel like it's an extension of what I've been doing for the past 4.5 years. I've been very excited about the possibilities with Hedera and the technology. That's how I originally came within this ecosystem. I saw a lot of blockchains that I didn't understand how this could be actually something into, and we could use for real use cases. So I saw Hedera. I was like, okay, this is really amazing. So my enthusiasm was always, I've always been intrinsically motivated. I know why I'm here. I know what I'm doing, and I'm excited about doing it. And so I really enjoyed always to pass that on to others, and see. I always reached out to people, like if they were new to the network, like if I could help them out or some other way. At a certain point, I joined the HBAR Foundry. I think that's about 3.5 years back. And the HBAR Foundry is a collective of grassroots developers that meet every Friday. And this is so important, so incredibly important, that you've got the grassroots developers that are on the ground, that are building a way, that actually use the technology, they have something at stake. They build a company, and they have something at stake, and the reliability and the continuous viability of the network is very important for them and for their company. And so that's one side, and then the other side, you've got more the technical implementation, the governance, and all those things. I've seen there was often a very big gap, which closely getting to each other, which is very very cool to see. And that link, that's where I'm very excited about the end user seat, is to really strengthen that even more and to make that a complete entire entity that is completely aligned. So yeah, that's why I'm so excited about the end user seat. It's the people on the ground that need to have a voice in the technical roadmap of the network.
Well, you guys pretty much covered the last question that I was going to ask you, but I do want to give you one more opportunity. If you have anything else you want to pass on to the community about what you're working on or anything else, you're more than welcome. Michael, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think, like, again, with this election, there were so many people who nominated themselves that were from the community, really great people. Like, we had Matt Smitties, we had Mei Chan and Brandon Davenport, and these are people that we work with every day who have done so much for Hedera. So I am just I'm honored, number one, that I got elected for the seat, and number two, I want to make sure that like their voices are echoed, and the rest of the community's voices are echoed in this position. I think it's a really serious thing. to be on the TSC because you have that capability to guide the open source nature of Hedera. And in Web3 in general, open source is kind of the backbone. And Web2, it's such a weird thing to say, let's take our entire code base and make it public on a GitHub repo. And it's even weirder to say, let's take that code that we open source and then donate it to another bigger organization and have it out there. That's something that happens in Web 2, right? Very rarely you have little snippets of it, like Facebook with the React framework and Jest, but you don't see it often, like that kind of a thing. And in Web 3, it's paramount because we're talking about financial Lego blocks and money. We're talking about the opposite of the Web 2 TradFi system with it, which is gated and guarded behind mainframe computers, and nobody can touch multitudes of contracts. And if we're all building in this open source money Lego network as their hashgraph, then we need good governance around it to control those wheels because it could be detrimental effects if it's managed poorly. And we've seen that time and time again with other networks. And for Hedera, we know that it's a 100-year roadmap, right, as a company. And this just shows another signal of trust that they want to do the right thing as far as networks go, and that they've got the grown-up hands in the room. And so things like this really help amplify that. And from my position, I'll do my best to be a steward of the community and the contributors in the ecosystem that would like to see that vision through.
Well covered, and like you said, there were so many really good people that were running for these seats, and you'll be great representatives for them either way. But Milan, is there anything else you'd like to pass on?
Wow, Michael, you said that perfectly. It's like it's amazing. Yeah, and also with the other people that run, they are so important on every single level, and I've got a huge respect for all of them, and they're all part, right? I mean, we all represent the ecosystem, and we're all part of it. I'm also very honored to be representing the end users and everyone else on the ecosystem. Really, very excited to what we will bring to the table. Yeah, Michael said it perfectly. I'm like, wow, I'm flabbergasted. You said it perfectly, man. So his words should actually be the last because that was really amazing.
All good either way. You guys had some stiff competition out there, so you should be really proud of yourselves. Again, congratulations and good luck in your new roles.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Brandon.
I'm now posting these interviews of Hedera builders independently to my channel. The community, influencers, and media outlets are free to use this content to spread the word on what's being built on Hedera. Once they're all uploaded, you'll be able to go to my channel and search for whatever topic or team you're interested in to find more information. Or you'll be able to get the most recent Hedera news by watching the latest HBAR Weekly update. So check them out.